Hi, this is Gina at Positivity Past 50. I am a budget traveler. I'm a teacher. I fly economy and I also research a lot. And so I'm going to share with you today some ways to travel smarter with less risk and more confidence. Here's a tip. I use Booking.com and Airbnb and Expedia. But I've heard with Booking.com, there have been some scams where you are contacted via text or email and they're asking for your credit card again because it did not go through. And it looks very convincing. Everything about it looks great, except they want you to click on something that will send you to a website that is not Booking.com. So this has been going around, and this happened to me when we were going to Italy. The scam came out on the headlines and I had already booked using Booking.com, which I'd never used before at the time. I'd always stuck with Airbnb or Expedia. They're all third-party kind of sites. And so I was really fortunate that I looked at that headline and read about it and realized you don't click on anything. Contact the hotel directly. So if this comes up with you, avoid clicking on anything, no matter how convincing it sounds. Go straight to your app, only communicate through the app, and also contact the hotel itself to see if there's been any issues with your credit card. Never click through. So watch out for that one. Another tip is about ATM use. Watch how you use the ATMs. Make sure that you use ones that are attached to banks or maybe inside of an airport. Avoid Eurostar. I believe that's the one it's called. There is one called Eurostar that is known for high fees. You want to be vigilant at the ATM also. If you're with a partner, have somebody turn around behind you and also look out. There's been a new scam and it has hit 3 times in America, I believe in California. I'll have the link right here. And if in this video, I'll show you the link, but then the actual news article will be down below. So I kind of want to show you the picture. And what has happened in the picture is somebody is using the ATM who's not with anyone else. And somebody, that's a 2-person scam, and a person comes up behind him. In this picture, it's a man, and he says, "Oh, you've dropped some money," and so it's a distracting scam. So the person with the ATM with the card already inserted turns around, and the other person comes in and somehow removes it. I'm not sure. It's very sleight of hand, and so inserts a different card like a fake. I'm not sure exactly. I've read the article twice, and it seems to me that it would be easy to notice, but it's happened 3 times. Now they've arrested the people, and if you want to read the article down below, it's an interesting article. But it's another thing, it's another reminder. Be vigilant at the ATMs. Watch your surroundings. Avoid crowds. Avoid deserted areas. Just watch out. ATMs can be very tricky. And another thing, when it comes to using your card, it's best not to use a debit card. There's more chance that it's because it's linked to your checking account. There might be fraud. There's also less, like credit cards seem to be able to fight for you more. They'll get your money back for you versus a debit card. And so it's a dispute thing. So you can dispute with your credit card, and apparently it's easier to deny its service, which happened to me. I had to call the credit card and we disputed it. It happened when we went to St. John. Our car rental company closed 2 hours before we arrived, and I did not want them to charge me for the car rental. So I immediately called, and I have a Southwest card. I called customer service and explained what happened, and the customer service agent was extremely friendly. He said, "I'm noting it in your records that this transaction did not happen," and so the car rental never went through. Plus, I never arrived there to sign for things. I was being overly cautious, but still working with your credit card is a little bit safer. Another safety tip is to get yourself a lanyard. I bought this one on Amazon. It's just a silver one that here's a hint. I put it on the side. This is my daughter's phone. I put it on the side so it doesn't interfere with charging because it can cover up that part right there. So I kind of anchor it to the side. You can wear it like this so that you can have it handy. If this bothers you and you don't like to wear that, I'm going to show you another way to handle it. So if you don't want to have the lanyard on your neck, maybe that might bother you, or you're wearing something that can't protect your neck from the feel of it, this is my favorite thing that I used in Amsterdam, my favorite way to handle it. What I did was I took my phone, wrapped it around my strap, and did it like this. kind of just made a loop. Now it's attached to my purse, and my purse never came off my body. And that way I could just drop it into my purse, and so I could be hands-free. And then when I needed it again, I could come out and take this, and it's hooked to me still, but not around my neck. This became my favorite way of carrying my phone in Europe. I did this in March of last year, and we stayed 10 days in the Netherlands. And at first I started on the neck, switched this to this method, enjoyed it so much more. It also kind of just made me feel so settled. It's like I knew my phone was right there. I kept this part open with nothing important in there except my phone and maybe some candy or gum and my umbrella. And so I was quick to be hands-free, use my phone when I wanted to, put it right back. So this became my favorite instead of around my neck. I also don't like the wrist ones. I feel like that just anchors me down too much. So this is my favorite, and let me show you some other features about a safety purse. So whatever type of purse you decide to use, this is a nylon version, very light, inexpensive one that I've enjoyed taking to Europe 2 times, but it's very utilitarian. It's not very fancy. Some people may not enjoy that. So whatever purse you do decide to use, check your straps. This one is a good example of a strap that cannot be sliced through easily, and it's also connected. It's connected on both sides. And I have these hooks that I get from Amazon that keep people away from pickpocketing. This purse, I had this pocket for my passport and wallet, and I only opened it when I needed it for that specific use, and I clamped it through the hole. Then I'll turn it around just a little bit. It looks like it's inconvenient, but it really wasn't. It was fine because I wasn't actually in my purse that much. Let me see how I did it. There we go. It was actually easier. Once you're in the routine of it, it gets easier. That way, my most important section could not get open without my knowledge. I had to use 2 because of the distance, like that. And so inside is where I kept my phone, which was attached to the lanyard. This is the part that goes in the case. And I got like this little silver one. I thought it was pretty. The first one I bought was not very attractive. It's kind of like this gray cloth one. I don't know why I picked it. And then I saw some people with pretty ones in Venice, and I thought I'd upgraded. So it's inexpensive still, but I like it because it's silver. And so that part was in my purse. And then, nothing important was on the inside, like that. And I still had one more pocket to use in the front, and I had one in the back that I could use if I needed to put something that was not super expensive. Now this is my everyday purse. It's made by the company Minoy. It's a leather purse, but I find since it's a leather purse, I find it kind of heavier. Online, they're about $150. This one, but I bought it on Poshmark for like $60 or $70 because I really wanted it, but I did not want to spend the total amount of money. So the travel features is they have these little snaps, which seems like, why don't you take this as your travel purse? I just don't. I think it's heavy. I like this other one better. And so you can snap that so no one can get in that department, or compartment, I should say. There's one on the top that also has the same thing. It just has extra travel features. People can't get into your purse. Like I said, I like a little bit more room. This one holds an umbrella, and it's also just lightweight. And that's why I like this one. So if I were to bring this purse, my problem with the purse, let me zip that up for a second, is this. Watch your purse. See if it has something like this. This could easily be unlocked. Now, I do keep it in front of me. I am very careful with my purse. I'm sure you are as well. But this is just in case you're distracted. I don't like the clamping part of this. And a lot of people have these kind of straps on their purses with this. This is my problem with this. But they all have this part here, this D-ring. And so my suggestion is, before you head out to an area that is well known for pickpockets, is to take a zip tie. Let's see if I did it the right way. Yeah, I did it. Zip tie that shut between the D-ring so that you're going around this. So this is not the safety feature, but the zip tie is. Zip tie that down. Cut off the extra. And then when you get home, take it off. Take that part off. but that will keep anybody from unclamping your purse, like in a subway or someplace where you might be touching other people and jostling around. Same for this. I mean, if you're distracted and they're behind you and they're very good, they can take that off, and then all they have to do is jerk the strap and head out, because the strap would then fall off your body, and then they've got your purse. So just watch out for this feature right here. And then don't forget to watch your wallets and get an RFID blocking, the radio frequency blocking wallets. I got this at Walmart. It was a set of 2. Some purses are RDF. I'm not sure about either one of these truly, because I have this wallet. I think that one is, and I'm pretty sure the Manui are as well. But I'd have to read up on it again to make sure. So I keep my wallet in my purse, and it's the radio frequency, so I can protect my credit cards. So don't forget about that. So some other things to think about are those QR codes. Be vigilant about those, especially at parking spaces. People are making stickers now to direct your QR code to a different website where you can enter in your financial information. So I tend to pick at those. I'm not really good at analyzing. They said analyze the website. I'm not that savvy. So I try to pick it, see if it's a sticker. So I will dig at it, and then I will ask advice with my husband's with me or my best friend. We will analyze the website, but hopefully we won't ever come across QR codes in our parking, but I have heard that that's a thing. So also hope you enjoy my travel partner for today, my YouTube partner. That's Lucas. So he's going to help me with moral support on trying to deliver these tips. So just want to introduce Lucas, and also why I'm sitting off to the side. I wouldn't want to take away from his glory. All right, I have 3 more things that are real quick that I'd like to share that I've been reading about. I've not had a chance to take a taxi, but this might apply to the Lyft or Uber or anything like that. I have read about how if you're in a cab, usually it's a cab, the article is about a cab, and you both get out, or you get out and you have your suitcase in the trunk, then the taxi driver takes off. I've only read the headline once, but at least it's something I could share. The idea is you wait in the seat until the taxi driver gets out, puts your luggage out on the curb, or if there's 2 of you, one of you get out, one of you stay in, so that really you're not left alone and standing on the curb as your luggage drives away. But that's just something I've read about recently. Another thing I read about that is not exactly clear how popular this is, and I have to look up the word. It is called juice jacking. Juice jacking, have you heard this yet? It's supposed to happen frequently in airports versus anything else, and it has to do with how you plug your phone in when you're charging. The recommendation is not to use the airport or unknown facilities that have the USB or the USB-C. Plug it directly in with your cube into an outlet, or use your own personal battery backup. Try not to just put that plug into that USB-C or that USB. Apparently there's some juice jacking, although I cannot find the articles. I read articles about it might be happening, but not that it really is happening. So I am playing it on the safe side, and I will always use my cube, or I'll use my own personal battery pack. So something to think about. And the one last travel tip I have about keeping your documents safe, because you'll have your passport, your driver's license with you, is to email yourself copies of the passport and your information on your credit card and your debit card, such as the customer service number and the numbers. I know that sounds like risky, but if I'm emailing it, for example, I'm a teacher, and so we have a very secure email network. I will email that information to myself. So should I lose it, I can go to the police department, or I can go to a place that's safe with the internet, and I can open up my email and access the number so I can call. Because on my copies, I have a photocopy of my passport. If I'm not traveling with my husband, he will have those copies. So I would like to put them in a couple of places. I like to email them to myself. I like to put them in my notes app, which I know if I've lost my phone, that's not going to help. But if I have my phone, it'll be on my notes app. And I use 2-factor authentication. Make sure you have that. Face recognition and a code to put in. And so I can leave it. I've even left the information with my best friend. With my husband and I both go. I leave it a couple of places. I do have a fear of losing my passport and then not being able to readily have the information available. Same with my credit card and debit card. I want to be able to stop payment immediately or lock it. On my phone, I've got the ability to lock it, but I also want to call customer service and let them know it's locked. So that's just another safety habit that I have made a part of my life when I go traveling, is to like cover myself with my documents to know where can I access them should something go wrong. And so another tip is, especially for us that like social media, is don't post where you are on the day that you are there. What you want to do is wait till you've left that area to post anything, or even wait till you get home. I'm not very good about waiting till I get home, but I do post when I'm not there anymore at that location. And so you don't want to overshare. Watch your settings on Facebook. Make sure it's private before you do, because when I do post to Facebook, it is just to friends and family, but still it can be reached. Plus, you let people know that you're not at your house anymore. And so unless you have a house sitter, which I usually do because I have one daughter that can still come stay at our house, unless you have a house sitter and an alarm, you can put yourself at risk if you overshare. So no oversharing.